History microphone. Today we're visiting with Mrs. Ethyl Hayden. She lives in Benton at 1404 Joe Creason Drive. Very famous name, Joe Creason Drive. It's got people on it like Miss Margaret Heath.
Yes.
So it's a real pleasure that you let me come over to see you, Miss Hayden.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It's been a beautiful day, and we'll just get started right off on a beautiful subject, and that's you.
Well, thank you.
So we're seated around the kitchen table. We're just going to have some fun and try to pry back into her life and find out some of the things about her family and events that have occurred of which she is able to remember. You're about how old, Miss Hayden?
I'm 81.
81. I might say a very well-preserved 81. And you have a nice home here. Where were you born? Were you born in Marshall County?
Yes, I was born right out close to Walnut Grove, close to Glade.
Glade,
Yes.
yes. Well, now, that was a stop on the railroad.
Yes,
I remember
it
that
was.
much
Yeah.
because occasionally, I didn't get to ride the train frequently, but once in a while I'd get to ride the train.
Yeah.
And somebody would flag the stop at Glade, and here
Yeah.
we'd be, and the conductor would call out Glade.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Now, isn't it true that the Church of Christ, which is now at Walnut Grove,
Yes.
was originally
From Glade.
at Glade?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember finding that when I was doing a little bit of research on a history of the churches in the county. Tell us your father's name.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown. Well,
Brown.
you had a rather common name
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
area. There are
yeah.
a good many Browns. And your mother, who was she before she?
She is Ollie White.
W-Y-A-T-T. Uh-huh.
Ollie White.
Well, there are a good many of those people in this area. I remember when I was a little boy, we lived across the road from Van Ratliff, who had married Hattie White, Dan White's daughter. And Mr. Dan White lived, what would be about the equivalent of a city block or two
Mm-hmm.
on up the road. And my first school teacher was Carrie Redden Wyatt. She
Right.
married Dick Wyatt. And so I'm familiar with the Wyatts pretty
Yes,
well.
yes.
All right, now we've got you born. Do you did you have more than did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I had 3 brothers and 1 sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's
What
5 of us.
What about any of the grandparents? Do you remember
Yes,
grandparents?
very well. I remember my granddaddy Brown, but I never saw my grandmother Brown. And my granddaddy White was Jim White. It lived here in Benton, lived in Cole's Edition, and my grandmother was Louisa. And yeah, I remember them very well.
Mm-hmm. Now, what did your father do?
Well, he was a farmer.
Farmer. Nearly everybody farmed
Yes,
in
farmed.
in
Yeah,
the early days,
Yeah.
whether they
yeah.
lived in a little town or not. Now, did you live long enough ago that the children had to work some?
Yes, yes. My daddy made sorghum molasses in the fall.
Oh.
He had his own mill. Well, people all over Marshall County, knew, and they'd come get him and carry his mill to their place. And he'd make sorghum for everybody in their neighborhood, see.
Mhm.
Sometimes he'd be gone a week at the time, most always. And
Now, he had one of these old-fashioned mills, I guess, where you hitched a horse
Yeah,
to
2
it,
of 'em.
or a mule, and they went round
round
and
and around, and had to dip them old skimmings,
Yeah, there were a lot of jobs in making molasses.
Oh, yeah, it's a hard job.
I can remember on my dad's side, we never had a sorghum mill or any one in the family, but there'd always be one in the neighborhood somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, the worst job, I thought, was taking a flat-sided stick and knocking all the leaves off the sorghum.
Yes, Lord, yes. We had to do that, see, but I had to strip all them leaves off and then cut the heads off, the seed,
Yeah.
and then cut the cane.
And
That was a big job.
that stuff had some kind of a fuzz on it that would get down your shirt collar.
Oh, it is terrible. That was them big old leaves, you know.
And it would just sting and
burn you
burn.
up. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Now, of course, the fun part was chewing on old fresh-cut sorghum cane. We'd cut off pieces,
Yes.
and
Sweet as sugar.
it was really good. But I'll tell you one thing I learned, that not to chew that with a real hard outer stuff on it,
Oh,
because
no, you had to peel it off.
it'd cut your
Oh,
tongue.
yes.
I remember starting to eat some of that one time, or chew on it, and soon my mouth was bleeding.
Well, sure. Yes, I guess
Well,
so.
it's like a child touching a hot stove.
Yeah.
I soon learned, of course.
Yes,
You peeled all that outer
yeah,
rind or bark or whatever it
Yeah.
was off,
yeah.
and then start chewing on it. And it was, as you say, just as sweet as sugar syrup.
Yeah, it was sticky when they was making them molasses, steam off of 'em, off that, as sticky as it could be. When you go around it and come home, it's sticky all over.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
well, I'll tell you one thing, the bees could smell
Oh,
that a mile away.
they just swarm. Oh, yes. You
Yellow
get
jackets.
stung.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Well, do you remember what your first job was on a regular basis that your parents assigned to you? Did you ever have to?
Well, hoe tobacco and get the crabgrass all out and chop out corn and anything there was to do, we had to do it. Of course.
Yeah.
We had to help.
Corn and tobacco. Did you like worming?
Oh, I hated tobacco worse than anything. I didn't mind working in anything but that old tobacco. Oh, me, I wasn't afraid of the worms, but I just didn't like to work in it. We'd get home from school. We're in school, Walnut Grove. Well, we'd have to change our clothes and go to the tobacco patch and work till dark, suckering and getting the worms off, you know. Yeah.
Did you ever have to bring in any stove wood?
Oh, yes. That's what we had to do. Oh, plenty of times.
I know my dad gave me orders once. He said, "Now, young man, I don't want to see your mother's stove wood box empty."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd get to reading. I was always a fool about reading.
Yeah.
And I'd forget about the stove wood box.
Yeah.
But not very long.
No, I bet you didn't.
He had one of those double razor straps that I remember pretty well. And he didn't mind
Yeah.
using.
Had to get everything done.
Now, the houses back then were not quite as good as they are today, were they?
Well, I'd say not. Count the chickens under the floor. Not quite that bad.
Well, I have seen through knot holes.
Why, cracks in the floor. I'm not kidding. There's cracks in the floor. I remember that.
Did you ever see a knot hole repaired by, taking something like a baking powder can lid and
Yes.
tacking over?
Tacking over that hole. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
That wasn't very good insulation, but
No,
it did keep the
it
breeze from blowing
It
in,
did.
and flies from getting in the house.
Oh, I
So,
don't know how people lived.
did you have screens and?
No screen doors at all. No. No. And I had a very mischievous little brother.
Tell us about it.
One day my mother was cleaning the house, you know, and in walks this chicken. And she just made a remark, "Well, I wish that thing was dead." Well, here he goes out of the house, didn't say a word, and got him a tobacco stick. And directly came in and helped that chicken up with the feet. "Here, Mammy's your chicken." He'd killed her best hen, her favorite hen.
She hadn't meant it
And
literally.
she didn't mean for him to kill it. She just thought because the thing is in the house, she didn't want it inside. I wish that thing was dead.
But it was a little hard to punish the young fellow.
Well, I
guess,
know. Why
because-
she couldn't do that because she, he was forevermore doing something.
Oh, well. One thing we do live and learn.
We
don't
live and learn. Yeah.
All right, now you've told us about some interesting things happening there. Where did you first go to school?
Walnut Grove.
Walnut
I
Grove.
went through the 8th grade at Walnut Grove.
So you went all to one place.
All to one place.
You remember any of the teachers?
Oh,
maybe?
very well. Mr. Garfield Cope, Mr. Naaman Duke, and Miss Mildred Ivy taught out there, her first school. She was
Miss Hoover?
Miss Hoover.
Well, what do you know
Yeah,
about
her
that?
first school was at Walnut Grove, and she boarded Mr. Garfield, Miss Nell.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to ask her about that.
Well, yes, she'll tell you. Now, we went to school to Mr. Naaman Duke's about 5 years in a row. He and Cleo were sweethearts at that time. That's before he married.
That she was a Lentz.
Yeah,
I
she was
believe.
Cleo Lentz. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they got married. And then Mr. Garfield taught there a while. He was a sweet teacher. I just loved it. And, oh, let's see, I can't remember them all. George Slaughter, way back yonder.
Mhm.
He taught out there, so.
I've heard that name, although I didn't know him. I knew Mr. Cope and I knew Mr. Duke,
Yeah.
but and of course I know.
And there's another teacher by the name of Fred Harper. Fred Harper. He taught out there.
Well, my, you've come up with all of them. I
Well,
guess,
I've been way back, all right.
Yeah. Now, tell us what a typical day was like at school. You
Well,
started about what?
we started in July and we got out in December, right before Christmas, or maybe sometime a little after Christmas. Yeah. When we'd start the school, of course, the schoolyard is covered in weeds. This old dog fennel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one year the teacher put us all out pulling that stuff, you know. Lord of mercy. Hot weather, you know. Well, I reckon we got it all cleaned up, but I remember that very well.
Did you ever rub your eyes after having pulled dog fennel?
Well, I don't know about that, but my hands got sore after that from pulling that stuff and kind of irritated, you know, and red. And
Mhm.
I was from pulling it, I reckon, that old stuff. I don't know what else. But anyhow, I remember that very well.
Let me ask you this: Did you ever eat any or drink any milk after a cow had eaten that stuff, bitter
Oh,
weeds and so
yes. Wasn't that terrible?
on? Oh, it's reflected exactly in the milk. isn't
Yes, bitter, just bitter.
it? And wild onions were bad
Yes,
too.
but we didn't have many wild onions. But we sure had the bitter weed.
I like to eat onions.
Yeah, but not drink it.
I don't like to drink the milk when
No.
it's oniony.
No way. No.
I know sometimes when there's especially a dry weather in the summer, the cows would get desperate. We didn't have good pastures
That's
then.
right.
And
Yeah.
the old poor land it seemed to grow a lot of bitter weed and dog fennel and so on, and but not a whole lot of grass. Of course, they
No.
hadn't sowed any,
Well, no.
and
They just had to eat what they could eat.
they ate what was there.
Yeah.
I don't imagine they liked it,
I wouldn't think so, no.
but it was eat that or die.
Yes.
So, oh well, and then you got inside, and all 8 grades were in the.
Yes,
Same room.
we had 2 rooms, big rooms.
Uh-huh.
And Mr. Garfield taught from, now way back we had just 1-room schoolhouse when I was a little girl. But later on they built us a new schoolhouse, you know. When Miss Mildred taught out there, she had her room and Mr. Garfield had his, you know. And Mr. Garfield taught from I believe the 6th grade to the 8th. And she taught from the 1st to the fifth, maybe, or maybe to the fourth. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, these divided up.
Well, you were uptown then. That
Yes,
was
that was nice.
probably one of the fanciest schools in the county outside of the city of Benton
Yeah.
and maybe Hardin.
And I very well remember it was on a hill. School was on a hill, and there's some grapevines growing down close to the road.
Mhm.
Had great long, and we managed to pull them vines down enough that we could swing on them. Here we'd go, we'd swing, sail way out over the road and back. It's 1,000 wonders we hadn't got.
And you never broke your neck.
Never broke her neck. Nobody ever got hurt.
Kids will do some amazing
I
things.
know. Yes, they will.
That reminds me of a poem that Robert Frost wrote about his sister came out and he had ridden a tree down.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we did that.
And so his sister came out and got hold of the tree, and then he turned it loose. Well, he, let's say, weighed 150 pounds, and she weighed 40.
Maybe.
I guess. Whatever. And when he turned it loose, it straightened back up, and there she was,
Yes.
way up in the air. It's funny, but it reminds me of those days.
Well, yes, why, sure. Oh, yeah.
And the little boy in the poem says something about, well, don't girls weigh anything?
He thought she ought to come back down.
Yeah.
Oh, me.
And we called those possum grapes,
Yes. Yeah, I remember.
but I could eat a barrel of them,
Why, yeah.
enough to get a stomachache sometimes.
Yeah. Green apples.
Oh, those first June apples.
Green apples, yeah.
Now, they called them June apples, and I guess they got ripe then, but about the time school started, that was first Monday in July.
Yeah. Yeah. And plums. We had 2 plum thickets on our farm. We'd sneak out there when we'd be a resting a while, and we'd eat plums.
Yeah.
We had one thicket was the red plum, and another thicket had the yellow plums.
Mhm.
Couldn't hardly crawl in there; it's so thick,
Yeah. Well, did you ever get struck on a little boy?
Well, no, not really back then.
That was an expression we used.
Yeah, I know. No, I didn't think much about the boys.
Well, you did get married, though.
Oh, yes, I
Well,
did.
tell us about how you met your husband.
Well, we moved to Benton. I was 17 years old, or 18, maybe I was 18. We moved to Benton, and of course he lived right up here on the corner. This was his home, Max Hayden.
Mm-hmm.
And well, he is around about, and he just saw me. We met. Oh, I don't know. I don't really know just how we met hardly, but anyway, I lived in Coles Edition. He lived right up here on the corner.
Mm-hmm. So you're sort of in his neighborhood.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Was he any kin to a fellow that I knew at Murray State? Later had several master's degrees and taught him. His name August.
Brother. He is his brother.
A brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, that is his brother. And he had a brother named Frank.
So you just kind of grew to know one another.
Yeah,
You
you might say neighbors.
You didn't go to a party one night and your
No.
heart go pit-a-pat.
No.
Anything like
Just gradually,
Okay.
Oh,
All right, and you were married then, and where did you begin living? Here in Benton?
Right here in Benton, yeah. Yeah, and then we went to Detroit and stayed a while, and he worked up there. And I had 2 daughters, and Maxine was born here in Benton, and Shirley was born in Paducah. We lived in Paducah when she was born.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, you had the 2 daughters. Did they have any children?
Yes, Maxine's got 2, Jimmy Sue Mathis and Johnny Mathis.
Mm-hmm.
And Shirley's got 2. Her son is David Meredith, and her girl is Tracy Meredith.
And they're near enough that you get to enjoy
Oh,
them.
yeah, they come, and I talk to them every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come by, and yeah, I'm close. Maxine just lives on down the street here, and Shirley lives about 2 miles out here in the country, 2 or 3.
Now, I used to see one of your granddaughters, I believe, at Hardin City Hall.
That's Jimmy Sue. She worked there quite a while. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. A lot of people hardly knew Jimmy Sue, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I, of course, have to stop and get my mail
yeah,
and
yeah,
so forth.
yeah. Well, didn't you used to live in Benton? You and Jan?
Well, we still do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking this afternoon, I wonder if they've moved to Hardin. And, well, I just didn't know. And I thought, well, now that Ruth, you know, I knew lived with y'all, and I thought she used to live down here. So, and then I thought, I believe they moved to Marywood.
Right. Now you're exactly on target. We moved, actually, this past April '86, from where we'd lived 10 years over on 14th and, well, that's Dogtown Road,
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
on the way to Walnut Grove.
Walnut Grove, yes, yeah.
Everybody calls it Dogtown
You know,
Road.
I used to, when I was a child, I'd walk from our house out there to Benton. We'd cut across the Nelson farm out there, you know.
Mhm.
It was about 4 miles, but I've walked it. Didn't have any other way, we just walked.
We didn't think so much about it.
Didn't think a thing about it, you know. No, come
could-
see my granddaddy.
You could walk to town in about an hour.
Yeah.
And that didn't seem so alarming back
Well,
then.
no,
did it?
no, it didn't. No,
Now, if you have to park more than a
two,
half a block from,
yes, you think you've walked a mile. Yeah.
all right. Now, you said you and your husband went to Detroit. Did he
Yeah.
work in some of the plants
Yeah, he
there?
worked at Ford Motor Company. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Good many of the people work for old Henry.
Yes, back then a lot of Marshall County men, Benton men even were up there,
Uh-huh.
families, yeah. Yeah.
Did you try to get a job outside the house? Or?
Well, no, not after I was married. I never did work anymore back then. But before I married, I worked in the Benton hosier mill. I was one of the first that went to work at the Benton hosier mill.
Oh, and I've heard my mother-in-law, Ruth.
Why, yes.
Did you know her?
Why, I've known her forever. Yes, I knew Ruth long before she married.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Ruth Height.
Ruth Height.
And were you working at the hosier mill part of the same time she was? I
Well,
suppose?
now, I just don't remember whether I was working when she did or not. But anyway, I worked there about 4 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, worked there till I married.
Now, did you ran some kind of a machine?
I was a
guess.
knitter. I run a knitting machine. Yeah.
That's pretty hard work.
Well, it's pretty hard work, but we had the biggest time ever was. Mary Green, Mary Harrison, you know.
Oh, I
she-
know her.
She worked there then, and she kept everybody laughing, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, she was just top proud. We
Well,
had a
she's
lot of fun.
always been a monkey.
I know, yes, she had.
Tell the funniest thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We always had a good time. We'd look forward for 5:30, I believe, when we'd get off from work. 5:30 to get there so we could go home. And you know, we lived in Coles Edition, and that hosier mill is way down close to railroad.
Now,
know.
you didn't walk to work.
I did. I walked to work. It didn't rain too hard or snow too hard. Or it didn't get too hot. Walk from way
Yeah.
out there.
Well, that reminds me, I guess, of living back on the farm when we did with no electricity.
No electricity.
And for years, we didn't have a car.
Why, no. Nobody had cars when I was a child. I'm a whole lot older than you are.
Well, a little bit. But
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, back them times, when you think back, it's good old days. Now, it's no kidding. It's just good old. We had hard times, but everybody was happy, and everybody loved one another, and had good neighbors. And,
what did you do to amuse yourself back then? Could you tell us?
well, you know, once in a while in the wintertime, we'd have play parties.
Yeah.
My mother never would let us go to dances. They used to have square dances, and she never would let us go. But if somebody in the neighborhood gave a play party, well, she'd let us go.
Uh-huh.
And that was fun, you know. And candy breakings. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Didn't they make some kind of candy that you had to pull on?
Well, that was taffy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, taffy candy, yeah. And sorghum molasses candy.
Yeah.
Made a bunch of that. Yeah.
And in the Depression, which of course all of us lived through, sugar, any kind of money was scarce.
Well, of course. We lived in Paducah.
You made the molasses on the farm, so it
Yes.
didn't cost any
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
And Mom would take that and make a cake with
Why,
it.
sure, yeah. That's the way my mother did, too.
And we'd always have a little popcorn we grew. And
Yeah,
a few
well-
peanuts.
Sweet potatoes
Yeah.
and everything. And we just grew everything, you know, that we
Did you-
had to eat.
We'd go to the neighbors and sit till bedtime.
Oh, yeah. We had a neighbor up on the hill from us was Rube Edwards in Flora. She was a dowdy.
Mhm.
Well, they lived up on the hill there, just up a hill, just a little ways up the road from us. And they didn't have any children, but they just loved all of us, you know. And every night after supper, they'd come sit till bedtime.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess they're both dead now.
I don't know for certain, but I've heard the name.
Ruby Edwards.
Uh-huh.
That's up in the digging somewhere. I don't really know, but she was a dowdy.
Well, I believe he was from Wadesboro.
Oh, well, he's up in there somewhere.
And as I think about it now that you've said Ruby Edwards, we lived on his farm in 1926.
Well,
So,
well, outside.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and 30 minutes goes away pretty fast, and we don't have much more than a minute left. Do you have any last special something you'd like to tell us?
Well, everybody ought to come to the senior citizens. We have a lot of fun. We have a good meal out there every day at noon, and don't cost but very little, and it's just a good place to go, and we have a good time. It's good pastime, you know, get you out of the house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they got transportation. Anybody don't have any way can call, and a bus will go pick them up.
Now, that's different to the Friday morning breakfast that
Yes,
I've been to.
yeah, it's different.
I'll
See,
tell you, that's good.
that's good. They've got some good cooks out
They
there.
know how to make, flour gravy.
Oh, yes, yeah. Which I
love
don't.
that
I
stuff.
do too, but I don't eat. Yeah, but we have a lot of fun out
I
there.
guess it's fattening.
I guess it would be.
But Arthur Godfrey said one time, everything I like is illegal, immoral, or fattening.
Well, there's a lot of truth in that.
Well, we certainly thank you.
Well, you're just more than welcome.
Then-
I've enjoyed talking with you.
Well, thanks again. We've been visiting at 1404 Joe Creason Drive here in Benton with Mrs. Ethyl Hayden. This is Ray Mofield with the Oral History Mic returning you to the studios in Benton.